What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez. And first things first, I want to say thank you here. We're coming up on Thanksgiving time, to be sure, right? And I want to say thank you. This is episode 200 of Jets Latest. So big shout out to everybody who has really helped me grow this channel, the day one regulars on Jets Latest, everyone who is watching these videos, liking these videos, commenting, and engaging with me here, and telling a friend to tell a friend about Jets Latest. We are the spot. We will continue to be the spot every single day in, day out, whether it's the end of the season, the off season, draft season, training camp. It doesn't matter. I'm giving it to you real about the Jets, and I'm really thankful to what everybody has done here, helping me out throughout the growth of this channel. But let's get into it. You see, oh, and by the way, if you want to join and become a Jets Latest insider, you certainly can by clicking on that button. You would get exclusive content. You get all sorts of other perks as we go through this season and beyond. But I want to start, as it says down there, right, how we have recently actually handled some potential Hall of Famers recently. And I want to start here with what I think is going to be the anchor of our team, not only for the rest of this year, but for years to come. And that is our big-time bookends on the offensive line. We all knew that the offensive line, the way we do the run game, was going to be the lead punch, the biggest kind of position group for this Jets team. And the way I want to talk about it this time today is this. You may be hearing a lot about Cleveland Browns rusher Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is actually on pace to break the new, or set the new all-time sack record, okay? He's got 18 sacks already, and he's got 6 games left. He is only 4.5 away from the record jointly held by Michael Strahan. You remember that one, that he got it on Brett Favre in a kind of gimme fashion, and then in TJ Watt, who did it in a 17-game season in 2021. Myles Garrett has had 13 sacks in the last 4 games. That's absolutely phenomenal. However, a matchup against the Jets were in that stretch, and he only had 1 in that one against Membu, Fashanu, and this Jets offensive line, okay? So we are handling Myles Garrett during a historic stretch better than any other team has, and I think that is a credit to Membu and Fashanu and this offensive line. The other thing here is the Jets are averaging 3.5 yards before contact in the run game. That is by far the best in the NFL, a full half yard better than the Baltimore Ravens, who are at 3.0 and second in that stat. And here's the thing, they're all young, right? Fashanu, last year's first round pick. Membu, this year's first round pick. I talk about Tippmann, who is young and under contract as well. And remember, offensive line is key. I make the analogies to Detroit, right? For their run, it's a little bit less this year, but they had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You look at kind of last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and look at the difference of Saquon Barkley. First was with the Giants, not the generational season that he had with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then the Eagles have had some regression in the offensive line. Lane Johnson gets hurt, and all of a sudden, their game looks a little bit different. Their offense looks a little bit different. So we are building it the right way, and I still believe actually that offensive line will continue to be a priority for the Jets, whether it's re-signing guys of our own like AVT, Simpson, Myers, whoever it is, or using free agent money in our cap space, a center like Lindenbaum, or going big time in the draft. And we will talk about that as we move forward. But honestly, you got to be excited. I think that our offensive line is poised to be a top group for years to come. The other potential Hall of Famer that we've limited, at least recently, is Lamar Jackson. Last week against the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson had literally, statistically speaking, one of his worst games of the season. He completed only 13 of 23 passes, only 153 yards. The 153 yards, second lowest of the season. He didn't account for a touchdown, either throwing the ball or running the ball for only the second time this season. His 13 completions on the game against the Jets, lowest of the season for him. 1.6 yards per carry, lowest of the season. We even held him to only like 57% completion rate, okay? The Ravens did score, and obviously they won the game. But both of those drives, and this is a point of emphasis for Aaron Glenn, were really aided by penalty. a 34-yard pass interference penalty on one drive and a 17-yard pass interference on another drive. Both of those were on third down when the Jets could have got off the field. This is why, along with the turnovers, obviously, and we're doing generationally ridiculous stuff in terms of only taking one turnover or one takeaway through 11 games. That's not going to happen again. The penalties are really a point of emphasis. And then even on one of those, it still took Derrick Henry on fourth down. We almost had that goal line stand, right? So, listen, we can limit good quarterbacks. I remember last year we made Patty Mahomes look pedestrian, Herbert look pedestrian, Jalen Hurts look pedestrian, okay? So there's reason to believe this defense. And quite frankly, for me, one of the big things in this was the return of A.Z. Thomas. Yes, he had a penalty, but what he allows us to do is put Thomas and Stevens on the outside and move Brownlee back into the slot. And Brownlee is one of these guys that we have found because of Darren Muji that I think can be here long term. And quite frankly, that's the other thing I want to talk about here. Darren Muji, okay, Justin Fields didn't work out, but I continue to have faith in Muji and Glenn as our brain trust moving forward. And quite frankly, I think the way we've broken it down, trading Sauce, trading Quinnen, getting this draft capital for 26 and 27, to me, that means, whether you like it or not, Muji and Glenn are going to be here for the next 3 years at least, because they have to now make those picks. If you have them be the guys who break it all down, you have to give them a chance to be the guys who build it up. And quite frankly, I like what I have seen out of Darren Muji so far. If you think about what he's done in his first year as a GM, in the draft, this year, we have 5 potential starters that we got. Obviously, Membu, Mason Taylor at tight end, Azareye'h Thomas, who looks like he belongs, Malachi Moore in the back end safety, and Kiko Mayuga, who has become a starting linebacker. Remember, he took, quote-unquote, Quincy Williams' jobs. That's 5 starters. That's a pretty good draft as your first draft. And then what we talk about a lot is he made a bunch of trades, and he picked up guys that usually were high-round draft picks that flash talent, the same strategy as he had in free agency. And think about it. Harrison Phillips has been a good run defender and leader on this defense. He's under contract for us. Juwan Briggs flashed. He's an improving defensive lineman, right? Exclusive right free agent for us. Will likely be on the roster next year. Jarvis Brownlee, who we just talked about, likely our nickel cornerback, right? Only a $1 million cap hit. That was a good move. Then the 2 wideouts, Mechie and Mitchell. I think we have found something in Mechie. I think Mechie is going to be our slot receiver next year as our wide receiver 3. The jury is still out on A.D. Mitchell, but second-round draft pick that obviously has athleticism, obviously has explosiveness. We'll see if he's part of the picture, but he probably will be, at least, if nothing else, as a wide receiver 4-5. Right? Kind of in the place that Lazard and Josh Reynolds were at. So we found guys there. And then in that deal with the Cowboys, we got a defensive lineman, Mazi Smith. We haven't really seen much of him, but former first-round pick. And if you think about it, we have the cap space. We have 4 draft picks in next year's draft. 3 top first-round picks the year after that, right? If you literally look at it, every single position group, we have young talent that we are building. And if you think about it, if he got 5 potential starters in the draft, another 4 or 5 potential starters in trades this year, if we got others that we signed that we like, right? Brandon Stevens, for example, Austin McNamara, for goodness sakes. We'll see about Cisco, who's now out for the year. Think about guys that we have extended. Also, Garrett Wilson, who will obviously be part of the picture. Jamie and Sherwood, even a returner like Keenan Nwanu, right? Then how we've developed some of the young talent. I just talked about Fashanu. We talk about Tippmann, for example, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, even guys like Braylon Allen and Breece Hall. If you put that all together, we're talking about 15 to 20 players on this roster who are going to be part of the puzzle, okay? And how Muji has brought in a good 10 of them, at least. Give him another year, bring in another 5 pieces. Give him the year after that, bring in another 5 pieces. Then all of a sudden, you have a roster that is ready, that is young, that hopefully has come together, start to experience success under Aaron Glenn. I really think the Muji moves, where you think about 5 in the draft, another 5 that we were signed, another 5 that were drafted, another 5 that were priorities in terms of development or extensions, you are starting to build a roster. And if you look at it position group by position group, we've done it on O-line. We've done it in the backfield. We've done it at the wide receiver position. We've done it on the defensive line. We've done it at the linebacker level. We've done it in the secondary. Give Muji and Glenn some time. I like the moves. But what I am saying here on Jets Latest, give thanks, because they are going to be here for a while. There's no way Muji and Glenn, if they felt like they needed to fight for their jobs, would have traded Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, right? They did that to accumulate this talent. You heard Woody Johnson even talk about it. I think that gives them leash. I think that gives them rope to be the guys who make that decision, cultivate that talent with the draft picks, and see if it kind of works. So that's what I want to say, along with, once again, I am thankful for you all, everybody out there in Jets Latest land, as we grow this channel to 2,500 subscribers. And everybody out there, thank you for all the positive comments. Thank you for tuning in every day, as what hasn't been a great season, but still could be the beginnings of a turnaround. I do think it is starting to come together in, a different way than wins and losses. And quite frankly, one of our biggest Jets Latest regulars, Old Dave, says the same thing. He goes, this season now has a silver lining. If we win, when it's good, we win. When we lose, it isn't that bad. We saw improvement in the Baltimore game, and this team is growing. I like the structural development within this organization. I agree, Old Dave, and that's what I'm saying. You got to give them the chance to have this 2026 draft class, this 2027 3 first-rounder draft class, maybe Arch Manning, right? And then to use the $115 million of cap space in this same way and build this roster. It wasn't going to happen overnight, but we can now start to see the plan in focus. Christopher Phillips, 520, says, Mendoza is not a franchise quarterback. He beat up on bad teams. Forget about it. Wait for Arch Manning or the Ohio State guy. I think that's saying out there in Ohio State. I agree. I think 2026 is going to be use this draft capital. I think at O-line, at wideout, on D-line, edge rusher, and in the secondary. And we'll see. I think we're going to be smart in free agency as well. Another iteration of the way we are building. And then we get the quarterback when we have not 1, not 2, but 3 first-round picks, and we can go up as high as we need. I would not be surprised, ultimately, if in the 2027 season, we have rookie quarterback Arch Manning under center. And then South Bronx, 1977. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the Bronx is burning. Big shout out to you. My folks, I was born in 1980 in the Bronx, but my folks tell me about the blackout, Son of Sam, all that stuff. South Bronx 1977 says, playing to ruin other teams hunting for wild card chances, for pride and jobs next year after hopefully cleaning house and culture, which is far from complete. And I think that's the right approach. I think that's the mindset, right? When you talk about teams that we could mess up their playoff hopes. Jacksonville Jaguars are on the schedule. They're fighting for it. The Buffalo Bills are on the schedule. So we shall see about that. But that's the patience. That's the view we need to have, okay, with what is the first year. I say it all the time. Remember, in Detroit, who I use a comp a lot with, Dan Campbell, they started 0-10-1. They finished that first season 3-13-1. Okay? We are not 0-10-1. We are going to win, in my opinion, more than 3 games this year. I think the Saints are still potentially a win. I think Miami could still be a win. I think there are others on the schedule. This Sunday against the Falcons could be a win. Then again, do we want to win, or do we want to have that draft capital? I think we want to build habits, build winning principles. So we shall see. I will continue to talk about the draft. There is some very interesting, because I talk about O-linemen, there's a very interesting connection that I will talk about when it comes to that. But we got plenty of time to do that. For now, I want to once again say thank you to everybody. Watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe to the channel, and tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. And if you want to see more from me, spitting statistician Dane Martinez, maybe you want to focus on your fantasy team pushing to the playoffs, or sports betting going into the end of the season so you can still get some skin in the game and win that cash, I can help you out. I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, the channel 87. There's a free trial right now on that, so check me out over there. We got you on lock. But if you're into the Jets, Jets, keep it here, okay? Happy Thanksgiving. We may not be on for Thanksgiving, but otherwise, you know me. I'm here all the time giving you the real. And hopefully you stick with me, subscribe, because we are going to see this development even in the offseason and free agency. I'll continue to be here. Hopefully you will be with me. Give me your comments. I like to put them on the show, and join if you want. Become a Jets Latest Insider. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here. Peace.